I just wanted to request the indulgence of everyone because we have the chairman of the WCO online. We'll listen to him. Before that, if Shankar, could you please give us all a small introduction about sir?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. First of all, thanks. We are privileged to have Mr. Edward Kieswetter, the World Customs Organization chairman, with us here today. We miss his presence in person. In fact, he was scheduled to be here in person today, but with his commitments with the government, he had to change the plan. Welcome, Mr. Edward Kieswetter. Mr. Edward, can you hear us? Are we audible? Mr. Edward?
It's back.
The flag.
Yes. Can you hear us, Mr. Edward?
Just be open a little bit.
Mr. Edward? Are we audible to you, Mr. Edward? I hope you can hear us.
No? Can you hear us now? Are you in a position to hear us now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, great. That's fantastic. Wonderful. Welcome to the AAAFI convention. We are missing you in person at this convention, and we just concluded with this session of Dr. Kuno Mikuria, who is here with us in person to meet all our colleagues in India. And once again, thank you for being here with us. And before we start, we'd just like to introduce you to the house. AAAFI, we are having this as a 25th Silver Jubilee Biennial Convention with this 62 years of organization as a Federation of India. So we welcome you at this event. I just introduce you to the house. Mr. Edward Kieswetter is currently the Commissioner and Chief Executive of South African Revenue Service. He was appointed to this role by President Ramaphosa on 1st May 2019 due to his impactful contribution in his current role along with an impressive record in public and private sector. Kieswetter has, during his term as Commissioner, has been appointed to the following international role. 2023, Chair of the World Customs Organization, 2022, the member WCO Policy Commission, 2021, Vice Chair to the OECD, the Global Forum, and 2021, Co-Chair OECD Africa Initiative. 2020 was Deputy Chair to the Africa Tax Administrator Forum, ATAF, and 2019, member OECD Forum for the Tax Administration in addition. And now he is also, next time we see him as a Dr. Edward. So we wish you all the best for the future, and we hand over to Mr. Edward Kieswetter. Respected Mr. Edward, over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Program Director, and thank you for the warm introduction. I wish to acknowledge the Chair of the Federation for Freight Forwarders Association in India, Mr. Dushyant Mulani, the immediate past Chair and Convener of the Convention, Mr. Shankar Shinde, Chairman-elect, Mr. Amit Kamat, former Secretary General of the WCO, and my friend, Dr. Kuno Mikuria, the various freight forwarders associations, representatives from governments, my fellow customs officials, heads of industries and businesses, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, namaskar, I greet you. As we say in South Africa, all protocol observed. Esteemed global leaders, colleagues, partners, and friends, I join this important event with a sense of privilege to have been invited, yet with a touch of sadness that I cannot be there in person. As stewards of global trade facilitating 32 trillion in annual commerce according to the World Trade Organization, freight forwarders and the world of customs under the auspices of the WCO share an extraordinary space integral to the economies of our countries and the well-being of the people whom we serve. This is indeed a privileged space that we occupy. And with this privilege, I remind myself every day, comes a profound responsibility to forge strategic partnerships that are mutually beneficial and advance a higher purpose beyond each of our narrow interests. We forge these partnerships in an increasingly complex world. The geopolitical politics are changing and have become tension-filled and unpredictable. The impact of technological and artificial intelligence is inescapable and presents us with opportunities, but also risks at a rate of change and scope that are unprecedented. We have to embrace this new context whilst maintaining integrity, security, equity, and sustainability at a global, regional, domestic, and entity level. Allow me to touch briefly on some of these aspects. The global geopolitical landscape is turbulent, yet full of potential. Trade tensions, such as we see, US versus China, for example, according to the World Bank, have cost the global economy $1.7 trillion in the last period. The rise of multipolarity itself, with the likes of India, Brazil, and Nigeria. The IMF reports has driven 25% of global GDP and has reshaped alliances around the world. China's Belt and Road Initiative, investing several trillions across 147 countries in the past decade. And the EU's Global Gateway, committing around 300 billion euros by 2027. These dynamics are redefining trade routes as we speak. The Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN estimates that conflicts like the Russia-Ukraine war have disrupted up to 30% of global wheat exports and is accelerating Europe's shift towards renewables, now targeting 45% of green energy by 2030, according to the European Commission. In Africa, the continent where I hail from, the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement aims to boost inter-regional trade by 52% by 2030 and unlock $450 billion of economic potential, according to the UN's Economic Commission for Africa. So these dynamics are not insignificant, they're not trivial. They fundamentally reshape the already challenging context wherein you and I and others like us do our work. These dynamics challenge freight forwarders and customs administration, but also create opportunities for innovation and collaboration, particularly through AI and constructive partnerships with the World Customs Organization, 186 member states, which oversee 98% of global trade. Turning to the transformative impact of AI, it is revolutionizing trade logistics and already integral in much of our work. The WCO in a 2024 report estimates 1.2 billion trade transactions are processed daily through AI risk assessment and have an accuracy already of over 90%. AI-driven tools like predictive analytics, which I am no doubt is as prevalent in India as it is in South Africa, and automated fraud detection will continue to enhance our efficiency. And yet, and sadly so, not all member countries fully utilize these systems, which still leaves billions offline and still exclude many from the digital trade benefits. For freight forwarders, AI offers solutions, but also complexities, with most still struggling to adopt these technologies due to challenges of connectivity, cost, and skill deficits. Another reason for leveraging partnerships and sharing capabilities. Significant challenges, therefore, emerges for freight forwarders. We are empathetic to the challenges faced by the industry. If trade is the lifeblood of the well-being of nations, then freight forwarders form an essential part of the backbone of global logistics. Your challenges are amplified and evolving due to these geopolitical tensions and shifts, as well as the AI-enabled technological disruption and evolving demands. Whilst preparing for this address, it was actually a wonderful, insightful learning for me and drew my attention to a number of key challenges that freight forwarders face. I can also say it increases my empathy as a partner, both wearing my hat as chair of the WCO, but also as a fellow administrator of a customs administration. I share with you briefly five of these aspects, which I believe are increasingly challenges for you, but also opportunities for partnership. The first is regulatory complexity and compliance pressures. Global trade regulations, however well intended to manage risks and facilitate trade, can be complex and often inconsistent across countries. Not all playing fields are level. This then leads to intricate and costly processes, to delays and increased compliance burden for you. Let me say that we are not unaware or unsympathetic to that. The importance, for example, of a harmonized system is a key plank in the work of the WCO. Secondly, technological disruption and cybersecurity risks. Whilst we are engulfed in the deployment of AI, technologies such as blockchain, and increasingly Internet of Things, and these are transforming the logistics in positive ways. It also brings cybersecurity risks, which sadly are enabled by the same technology that we deploy. We are aware that the implementation amongst freight forwarders often lags due to the cost of adoption and the mitigation of risk, particularly in emerging, poorer and developing countries. The global south, of which both India and South Africa form part of, often lags in this regard. The third is capacity constraints and supply chain disruptions. Geopolitical events like the Red Sea crisis and the Panama Canal congestion raises freight rates and port congestions at large hubs like Dubai and Shanghai can often delay shipments. In our own country, we see how land borders, where infrastructure is inadequate and processes are often insufficient, can add time and cost to trade logistics. Natural disasters, similarly, which are unpredictable, can equally be costly and disruptive. I am told that there is a global shortage of truck drivers, which itself becomes an impediment. The fourth challenge is sustainability and decarbonization pressures. The logistics sector contributes significantly to global CO2 emissions. And understandably, governments are enforcing stricter rules. We now see the emergence of the EU's Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, or the so-called CBAM, affecting up to 70 billion of imports in 2026. Customers also demand, rightfully, green solutions. with almost half of CEOs prioritizing decarbonizations, but alternative fuels raise the cost by between 10 and 15%. Large players can commit to spend millions towards decarbonization. Maersk's, for example, are able to say that they will introduce green methanol strips, which aims to cut emissions by up to 20% by 2030. But high cost remains a challenge for smaller players. The fifth challenge which you are faced with is the rising customer expectations and the exponential rise of e-commerce. E-commerce reaching almost 6.5 trillion by last year drives significantly the demand for faster and more cost-effective delivery of goods and services. Real-time tracking is critical for these customers. Whilst last-mile delivery cost has risen by over 10%, the potential for a de minimis threshold could increase e-commerce import cost by up to 10%. It is, however, important to bring about a level playing field between the high street retailers, which still have a strong activity in most of our countries, with those who bring things in online. And customers are demanding similar prices and lower costs. I will touch on some of these when I talk about how we strengthen our partnerships. But first, let me share a few snippets of a country perspective. Firstly, trade between India and South Africa is also on the rise, and that's good for us. India ranking as South Africa's fourth largest trading partner for the past 3 years, trading up to 280 billion rand just in the last year. And this relationship is set to deepen with the anticipated signing of a bilateral mutual recognition agreement in June this year between our countries to streamline processes for certified operators and therefore reduce administrative barriers, improve time to deliver, and enhance overall cross-border efficiency. Looking ahead, as the BRICS countries, we're looking towards a multilateral, all-inclusive mutual recognition agreement, and this is, we have progressed well to harmonize regulatory frameworks, strengthen our supply chain security, and to create a more integrated environment for authorized economic operators, particularly across emerging economies. India has emerged as a global leader in secure trade practices with over 5,700 AEO certified entities, including more than 900 logistics operators. This program features a tiered certification system that offers benefits such as faster clearance, reduced inspections, deferred duty payments, and others. It supports both large and SMMEs, reflecting an inclusive approach to trade facilitation. Of course, this also integrates with India's broader digital trade reforms and national logistics regulatory policies. This will now be strengthened by mutual recognition agreements and the AEO programs. It also exemplifies the benefit, the strategic significance of these partnerships to drive secure, efficient, but also globally competitive trade. These are not just operational perks, they are competitive advantages, and we get that. India's growing AEO momentum is exemplary and also sets a promising precedent for similar initiatives worldwide. South Africa clearly want to learn from that and want to work with our colleagues in India, both private and public, to build on these initiatives. On South Africa, South Africa is also a key WCO member and Africa's second or sometimes largest economy, depending which lens you look through. And it exemplifies customs, or rather partnerships between customs and freight forwarders. I can share with you that SARS has collaborated with freight forwarders to implement the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, and looks at boosting intra-trade by up to, as we said earlier, by up to 52%. We have launched a customs modernization program that leverages AI to drive risk profiling, and therefore we are able to process 5 million declarations with a 92% accuracy and reducing clearance times at ports like Durban. And these partnerships will continue to enable real-time data sharing, but also to address the proliferation of smuggling, of counterfeit goods that not just distorts our economy, but also erodes social cohesion. But this also comes with challenges, because our own forwarders face a cost increase they share with us due to port inefficiencies at some of our ports. And so collectively, there is an opportunity to work together to expand the use and the deployment of these tools so that we can enhance efficiency for our mutual benefit. Turning then to how we can use this to build stronger relationships, I would like to offer a few thoughts in this regard. Tackling these challenges, freight forwarders must deepen partnerships with the WCO and global customs administrations, leveraging our shared expertise for mutual benefit. Last week, together with the Secretary General of the WCO, we met with the global leadership of the private sector consultative group. And I was very clear that we cannot hope to strengthen our partnerships if each party simply pursue their narrow interest, with no regard for the other. Partnerships don't thrive like this. Partnerships require all parties to elevate the dialogue to the level of highest purpose and common interest. Here are a few aspects on which to reflect. The first is the co-development of AI-driven compliance tools. The WCO Safe Framework, adopted by most member countries, can integrate with forwarders with their systems to streamline compliance. Jointly developed tools for HS harmonized systems code classifications, for sanction screenings can reduce errors, as we can see by Singapore's TradeNet, which reports to have cut clearance time by 40% and reduce errors by up to 30%. The WCO's data strategy also is committed to ensure ethical AI and to address the risk of the high bias that are currently still prevalent in AI models. These are examples of joint work on which we should build. A second area of collaboration is enhancing capacity building and training. We could pursue leveraging the WCO training programs, which already reaches thousands of customers' offices, but what if we could extend it to players like the freight forwarders and reciprocate where complementary experts already exist in private sector, to address issues like AI literacy and fluency, and to train on regulations like ACAS or CBAM to cut compliance cost. A third is strengthening public-private partnerships. Here there exist opportunities like Maersk's and others have demonstrated in order to share platforms to reduce improve our capability to reduce fraud, real-time data sharing to improve visibility, and also public-private partnerships to share for mutual benefit the investment in upgrades at congested ports. We could also, as a fourth endeavor, look at advancing green customs through collaboration, because sustainability remains key, and both customers demanded, government insists on it, but for our own ethical and moral compass should guide us towards leaving a better world for our children. And the fifth area is bridging the digital divide to enhance e-commerce. E-commerce is a fact of life and a reality we must contend with. But 2.9 billion people are still offline, and many smaller players are still excluded from digital literacy programs and access to technologies. And SMMEs drive 70% of trade jobs. And therefore, I think e-commerce platforms could cut cost but we need to invest and share these technologies together. As I draw to a close, I want to say we have a shared responsibility. The WCO and the freight forwarders share in a privilege by overseeing 98% of global trade, and we have a duty to pay it forward. This means mentoring customs administration in emerging economies where revenues account for 50% of GDP according to the World Bank. It also means that we advocate together for a more equitable trade for 3.5 billion people in low-income countries. And it means ensuring AI systems are inclusive, unbiased, and addresses the digital divide that can impact and transform over 1.5 billion people. In South Africa, supporting 1.2 million SMMEs can drive inclusive growth whilst uplifting globally 280 million people from poverty and address the crisis faced by 272 million migrants globally. So here is a call to action. I strongly would like to suggest that freight forwarders, traders, and logistics operators pursue with greater vigor the authorized economic operator certification, not only for immediate operational benefits, but also to contribute to a more interconnected, secure, and streamlined global trade system. Industry leaders must actively support and collaborate with customs authorities to shape the future of a secure and efficient trade. Together we can foster innovation and both compliance and facilitation. If I may close the theme of strong partnerships, I would do so with clarity that partnerships can and will thrive when, firstly, we demonstrate steward leadership with common purpose. Secondly, we collaborate with constructive and positive intent. Thirdly, we deal with the common enemy of criminality, illicit trade, and human trafficking, and not inadvertently become complicit in sustaining and the proliferation thereof. And lastly, that we discover the future together with unprecedented adoption of innovation and AI. We champion sustainability and inclusion. Together, we can transform challenges into opportunities to create a trade ecosystem that is resilient, equitable, and sustainable. A trade ecosystem that will ensure benefits for billions around the world, in particular the most vulnerable. I think of the 260 million children who still is out of school, and the 1.8 billion youth who face an otherwise bleak future. Congratulations and thank you for your leadership. Let's shape the future together where trade unites us. The WCO stand ready to support and to be an active partner. South Africa, as a dominant country in the global south and on the African continent, is ready to take hands and to work towards a common future. Thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate the opportunity to engage with you, and I wish you well for the rest of your conference. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edward. It is really great honor to have your address and the insights on this platform for our convention. And we look forward to have your presence in our future events. We will be happy to invite you for our next event to have a dialogue in person. And really a great insightful with the strategic partnership, what the India has a greater role to play, and the position, how we can position India in the geopolitical scenarios. Thanks a lot, and thanks for being with us this today. Thank you, sir. May I request Samir? Yeah, Mr. Samir, you have something?
Yeah, thanks. Shantanu and I love to say this at many webinars, seminars, that we are the only people who have to 100% perform. You know, a doctor can say, I tried my best, now you pray to God. A lawyer can say, I created a good case. Let's see what the judge has to say. The chartered accountant can say, I've done a wonderful filing, but let's see what the tax authorities say. We are the only people who have to deliver. We have to reach the destination. At the most, we can have a small detour.